Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Colleen Connell will be presenting our workshop in a box that's titled Searching the Internet this morning. I'm joined here today by Kristen Brogy and myself, Sarah Antonelli, and Kristen is going to give us a little instruction on workshop in a box before Colleen begins the presentation.
Absolutely. I do want to thank everybody who is attending here over Zoom today. I do want to just go over a little bit about how attending the workshop in a box over the Zoom or watching it works versus running the workshop. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind is that workshops in a box aren't videos that you show to your students in your library. They are workshops that you facilitate in your library. All of our workshops in a box are set up so that once you've seen how we run the workshop, you're able to then use those same tools that we use, the PowerPoint, the handouts, the exercises, and you will teach the workshop at your library. The way today is going to work is that Colleen is running this workshop for you. You on Zoom, including Sarah and myself, we are all students and we're all here to learn about searching the internet. So during recording of the workshop, please ask any questions, make any comments. Just make sure you're doing it as a student learning how and attending the workshop on, searching the internet. I am sure you will have questions about how to teach this workshop. I'm just going to ask that you hold on to those questions to the end, maybe jot them down on a piece of paper, and then we'll have time to debrief at the end of this session. Whether you're here on the Zoom with us or watching the recording of this Zoom, you're going to be able to access all of the materials that Colleen is using in the workshop in Canvas. In Canvas, you'll be able to find instructions on how to use all of the materials that are available. You'll get the presentations slides that Colleen is reviewing with us. All of those slides at the bottom contain notes for the facilitator facilitating the session. Any handouts that were used in the session, they will also be available in Canvas as well. I will let you know the recording does take a couple days just to get it set up, so you'll probably see it next week in Canvas. And although we're running the Zoom session, we do expect that most libraries work with their patrons in person. And these workshops are going to be the same. You're going to ask the same questions, cover the same points, whether you're teaching in person or the way we are teaching, which is remotely. But I do want to keep in mind that running live workshops in your library, it really does drive traffic into your library. Before I let Colleen start though, can I answer any questions about your role as the student in this workshop? Nope. Okay, fabulous. Then we're ready to get started. Remember to jot down any instructional questions at the end of the session and enjoy being a student learning how to search the internet.
Great, thank you, Kristen.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. So welcome to our Searching the Internet Workshop in a Box training session. My name is Colleen Connell. I'm excited to lead this workshop today. Today's session is interactive and we would like everyone to participate in the activities. So please have your computer ready to do some searching and have your audio and camera ready to participate in the workshop. Let's get started. So our goals for today, after the workshop, you'll be able to understand the basics of how an online search works. You're going to be able to evaluate the result searches using different search engines. You're going to be able to identify the features of high quality information from an online search. And you'll also be able to differentiate between public and private networks and understand new terminology associated with the internet. So before we dive into and searching, let's take a closer look at the basics of the internet. What is the internet? When you think of the internet, what comes to mind? Can you give me an example, Susan? Like when you think of the internet, what do you think of?
Endless access to information, all types of information.
Exactly. Perfect answer. When you think of the internet, it's a worldwide system of computer networks, a network of networks, social media, electronic mail, games online, file sharing, and streaming media services. Many experts say our social life is similar to the internet. So if you were to draw a map of your network of yourself at the center, and then create additional lines for your family, your friends, and their friends, and their family. Once you've created your network of the web, you'll notice the connections continue and become endless. And the internet is the same. So here's a very basic example of a network. In part of this lesson, we will look closer at the basic structure of the network. In the network diagrams, though, the internet is represented by a cloud. Is represented by a cloud. So before we can jump into searching, we should understand a bit more of what the internet is and how it is structured so we can find what we are looking for. So I'm going to just read the bullet points on here. Key terms that we're going to be introducing the internet. The cloud refers to servers that are accessed over the internet and the software and the databases that run on those servers. So looking at the slide, the internet is a public network. And when you connect to the internet, you also potentially connect to everyone else who is connected. So the definition of the cloud is a little murky, but it's essentially a term used to describe a global network of servers, each with a unique function. The cloud is not a physical entity, but it's a vast network of remote servers around the globe, which are hooked together and meant to operate as a single. You might be saying to yourself right now, what is a server? A server is a computer or a system that provides resources, services, or functionality to other computers, devices, or users. So you will be hearing some new terminology here, such as servers, URLs, HTTP, and we're going to get into those definitions in the lesson. So let's look at some of the key terms. Can someone read the bullet points on the slide? Susan, how about you?
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Okay, so the internet domain name system, or I guess DNS, uniform resource locator, or URL, protocol, and HTTPS.
So just a question, are you familiar with all of these terms?
Yes, I am familiar, but I am probably using them incorrectly. So
Well, that's
knows?
what today's about, is those terms and the meanings of those terms. So we're going to take a closer look at that. So let's start with the internet, though. You know, what is the internet? Who are service providers, right? So the internet is a vast global network comprised of many smaller networks. The internet's the backbone of a series of high-speed networks owned and operated by service providers. Consumers connect to the internet through a local internet service provider, or an ISP. And I'm sure we've heard that term a lot, the ISP. At one time, there was a clear-cut distinction between service providers. Either you got a phone service or you got a TV service from the cable company. Today, however, partnerships among TV, internet, phone providers, they make it a bundled service that provides one-stop shopping. For example, you can purchase television, internet, phone from your provider at home, which I have is Xfinity, is my provider, and it bundles my service. You could have DirecTV, which is a satellite television provider, or Verizon, Fios, AT&T. So those are kind of some of the bigger examples of large providers in New Jersey that I know of. Who would you call if your Wi-Fi was having a problem at home? Susan?
Okay, my provider is Optimum.
Optimum. Okay, so that's your internet service provider or your
Mm.
ISP.
Yes.
Right. So it would be great to be able to purchase faster internet service available. However, internet service can be expensive, and sometimes you need to find a balance between what you want and what you need. And not all types of service may be available in your area. So my area, I only can get either DirecTV or Xfinity. That's it. I don't have really any other choice. Verizon Fios is not available. They don't do the cables in my area. So sometimes we don't have a choice of our internet service provider. A choice is made for us based on maybe where we live in our area. So let's talk about the World Wide Web, or the WWW. Okay. Web pages and websites. That's what the World Wide Web is all about. While the internet is a network comprised of hardware connections, the World Wide Web is a system of interlinked documents that are accessible on the network, which is called the internet. There's countless millions of documents hosted on the web servers, and you can access a document by typing its address into a web browser or by clicking a link that takes you to it. Documents hosted on web servers are generally referred to as web pages, and web pages usually contain links or hyperlinks to other pages located on the web servers. If you've ever visited a website and clicked on a link that took you to another website, then you have used a hyperlink. These hyperlinks form the connections that make up the World Wide Web, and web pages around the world are connected to one another by hyperlinks. So if I were to go to I'm going to use Google Chrome in today's session as my browser, and we're going to talk more about browsers. But as you can see, I brought up my browser, and if I were to search in my address bar for Amazon, everything that I come up with on Amazon here are links or hyperlinks. So that's what we're talking about when we have hyperlinks on a web page, and then it takes us to additional web pages, and that makes up the whole connection. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. Okay. And we'll have some time to do some of these exercises too, Susan. So, okay. So the biggest part of the web address is a website's domain name, because we want to understand more about that address and how it is put together. There is something called a domain name system, or DNS, that keeps track of all the domain names. When you enter a domain name into a web browser, as I just did, I entered Amazon in my web browser, the DNS takes the text based on the address domain you enter and translates it to an IP of the domain so that your web browser can pull up the correct website. So a typical domain consists of 3 labels by periods or dots, as you can see on the slide, and starting from the right. So if you look to the right, the domain name lists the most general category, and then more specifically, the company that owns the domain, and then specific resource where the company that owns the domain. The domain is like a roadmap to a particular resource. For this domain name, the server name is www. And of course, we know that's the World Wide Web. And it's public websites or pages that people can access on the computers. Then comes the registered domain name, which identifies the organization that owns the domain name. Each domain is registered with the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, or ICANN. ICANN. So Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. That's the mouthful. And that ensures that there are no duplicate domain names. I know when you register your companies, I know that you have to hire sometimes attorneys or someone to search for the name that you want your company to be. And they would do all these searches, so there wouldn't be duplicates at all anywhere. At the end, you can see top level domain, which identifies the category or the type of website, .com, .net, .edu, etc. every domain name ends with the top level domain label. So we'll see more examples on the next slide. So can anyone tell me what they think the domain name or the DNS for the New York Times newspaper might be? Take a guess.
I'm guessing,
Kristen.
I'm guessing the domain name would be like NY Times.
Exactly. So some of our big companies like Amazon, Target, New York Times, you can almost guess what you think it might be and type that in, and then let the browser search for you. So exactly, the New York Times would be like www.nytimes.com.
Colleen,
Yeah.
is the domain name just the middle part, or is it the whole thing that you're showing on the screen? Like, is it www.nytimes.com? That's the whole domain name, or is it just nytimes.com?
I think of it as the domain name is the middle part, right?
That's
And
what I thought. I just
yeah, the
was
same.
curious.
Yeah, I feel the same way, that it's just the middle part, the actual name of the site, the person, the company or the business.
That makes sense.
Mhm. So let's talk more about the top level domain name, meaning that .com, what everything ends with. So here are some examples. Take a look. I'm not going to go through each one here, but many of these we should be familiar with. The domain names here will give you a good idea as to what type of organization is associated with the domain name or the web address. So .com commercial sites. Let's look .gov. We've probably all been on a .gov site associated with local, regional, or national government, right? .edu, educational, colleges, schools. Right. .org, sites associated with nonprofit organizations. So while you can often find the type of domain name in a web browser to get access to the website, the entire web address is called the URL, which stands for the Uniform Resource Locator. So the entire piece, the URL, consists of two parts: a protocol identifier, which is the first part, and then the domain name. So they are separated by a colon and 2 forward slashes. In this case, the HTTP is the identifier and the domain name is www.ccilearning.com. So let's discuss the protocol identifier, the HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So the HTTP tells your web browser that you are requesting web pages from a web server. If a site's URL begins with HTTP, it means the connection is insecure, meaning insecure, which triggers the not secure warning. Note that some of the browsers assume you want to use the HTTP protocol when you're entering a web address. So this allows you to simply type yahoo.com instead of including the HTTP : / many of us just type in like yahoo.com. If
Or
it has
Amazon. That's
or
where I go to Amazon the most. I hate to admit
it. Yes. HTTP secure, though, would be HTTPS, which you can see the example on the slide here has it for the target domain name, the URL. So HTTP with an S is used for secure web transactions, like making purchases over the internet, such as Amazon, like we're always in Amazon, I think. There's another workshop, though, I want to talk about, because we're not going to get into the secure, like the S, the secure web part of this, the secure HTTP. That's going to be hosted during August. Internet safety is another workshop in a box we're going to offer, and that's on August 16th. So keep that in mind, internet safety, August 16th, another workshop in a box. So at that workshop, you can learn more about hacking, scamming, and cybersecurity basics. Okay. So any questions on the URL before we move on? Okay.
No.
So let's do an exercise. We're going to call out whether we think this is secure or not secure just by looking at the URL. So secure or not secure at a first glance?
Not,
Not. And why is that?
no S.
No S. Secure or not secure?
Secure.
Secure. We see the S. Secure or not secure?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Secure or not secure?
Not.
Not. Secure or not secure?
Secure.
Secure or not secure?
Oh,
Why?
missing. It's missing.
This is a trick one. Oh, what's it missing?
that's a tricky one.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't see the beginning,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I forget. The protocol, is that what it's called?
The protocol, yeah. So we don't see that, but I'm going to point out something else. Did anybody notice it?
Mm-mm.
A hyphen. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to, I just want to point that out here. So this not secure. Secure or not secure?
Secure.
Ah, this is
think
a trick
so.
one. This is a trick one.
Oh,
too.
but look at the,
Flashes.
The
the
backwards
flashes are
slash.
going the wrong way.
Wrong way. So if you're ever looking, and this is really important because a lot of people will look up like Social Security or places where there's money. These are, you want to be sites that have secure and have certificates and license and proper, because you might be putting your Social Security number in something on that site. So be very alert of what the URL is. What does it say? Whenever you're on a site, look at that URL, make sure it's really a secure site.
Is that a real site? Do you know?
That is not a real site. I made it up
Okay,
totally.
good.
Yeah.
Good. I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, I totally made it up.
I mean, I hope that there's nothing about socialsecurity.gov like that's people
I know.
faking, but I'm sure they are.
Yeah. So when your browser connects to a website, it can either use the secure HTTPS or the unsecure HTTP. Remember, the HTTP indicates the web page is not providing a secure connection to anybody visiting it. If a site's URL begins with HTTP, it means the connection is unsecure. In Chrome, this triggers a not secure warning. So never share any personal or financial information over a website that is not secure. And again, that workshop in August will have more detail about those, how we identify that and look closer at it. Also,
So
keep in mind, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, are you saying that like we shouldn't go to a website that just says HTTP?
No, we can still do that. We can
Oh.
still do that. It's not 100% all the time, but it's a first glance of look a little closer. Look a little closer.
But we shouldn't like make payments on a website that just says HTTP.
That I wouldn't do.
Okay,
wouldn't
that
do.
makes sense. Okay.
That I wouldn't do.
I was a little worried I couldn't go to any website with HTTP and then it has
Yeah,
to be forever, like,
yeah. There's still going to be many with the websites out there without the S, but maybe you're just searching and looking at stuff. But once you start putting financial in, like Kristen said, stop. Dig a little deeper before you start putting that information in. Also, keep in mind that legitimate websites, they typically don't have hyphens or symbols in their domain names. So when I was looking at I put the Google example up there, that hyphen, that would not be there. So scammers will take a legitimate domain name and add a hyphen or a symbol to try to trick you. For example, that Google we were just talking about. So again, I can't stress to really start looking closely at your URLs when you're doing your searching on your internet and searching sites. Sometimes the address bar in our browser does not display the HTTP or the S, but instead it will display a symbol to indicate whether it's a secure site or not. For example, in Chrome, a lock in front of the web address lets you know you are looking at the secure site. So again, reminder, we'll talk more about that in another workshop in a box, the August 16th date, internet safety. Okay. So now that you learned all about the domain names and URLs and secure and unsecure websites, what do you do with the URL? You use it in a web browser. So what is a web browser? Web browsers are software applications that enable users to easily access, view, and navigate web pages on the internet. Browsers allow you to interact with websites. You may be familiar with several browsers such as Edge, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Safari. Those are all browsers. While a browser's primary function is to retrieve pages from a web server and display them on your screen, you should understand that browsers are complex software apps that provide a number of services, and they can be configured to suit your working style and keep you safe while you're online. So let's start simple though. The address bar. So you can see from the slide here, I've highlighted areas that we want to talk about. So the address bar is pictured on the slide, you can see there. To visit a web page, you enter its URL into the browser address bar and press enter. The browser requests the page from the server, and when it's received, the browser displays the page within the browser window. The address bar will always display the URL of the page currently displayed in the browser window. So if the web page includes a title, the title will display in the window tab. So if you look at the slideshow, the purple, every time you open up a new window or search to a new website, it displays a new tab, and you can open up multiple tabs and work on multiple sites and bounce back and forth. So address bar is in yellow, tab is in the little purple area highlighted, and then we have the title bar where you'll see at the top the titles for each website that you locate or you're searching for. While there are several well-known search engine sites on the internet, many modern browsers include a search box in the address bar without having to navigate to a search engine. And we're going to talk about search engines, but we're talking browser searching right now. So we can search in our browser by using our address bar and not have to go to a search engine to search. So what I want is everybody to open up Chrome. I'm going to focus on Chrome today. So if we open up our Chrome browser and we want to search for Amazon.com and press enter. So let's go to our browser and we're going to click in the address bar and search for Amazon.com. Okay, and I just wanted to point out something that some people always may not be familiar with as much as the navigation and layout of a browser typical website. But at the top, we have our navigation pane here, where we can navigate to different parts of the website to go to a different web page. And over to the right, we have our scroll bar that goes up and down. Okay. Remember, there's multiple ways to do the same thing in Windows. So some people may use the mouse to go up and down, but don't forget about your scroll bars also. Okay. So navigating the navigation bar area, again, you hyperlink to different sections of it. Okay. So, everybody was able to get into Amazon fine, I assume. Otherwise, raise your hand and we'll assist you. Okay.
We know how to do that.
We know how to get to Amazon.
I just got distracted looking at new coffee mugs, so I'm gonna pretend that
You
it's not.
probably just
now.
click like 3 or 4 hyperlinks to get into something. So let's do a couple of exercises. We're just going to open up a new browser window. So we can either use our plus sign to open up the new tab at the top. You can use your shortcut key on your keyboard, hold Control down and tap T, and it will open up new tabs. So we want to continue searching and, pick a couple different things that you want to look at. So I will do my example here. And I'm opening up a new tab here. Books. Airlines. And you can see you can have multiple windows. If I use Control T, it just keeps opening up new tabs on my keyboard, my shortcut key. So again, if I X, I'm just closing my tabs. Okay. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about, I'm just going to show you quickly, is what if you don't like your search, the search engine? And we're going to talk more about search engines, but Google has Chrome and I'm a Chrome user. But if you wanted to switch it to maybe Bing or a different search engine, I'm going to change the default engine in Chrome. So the vertical dots to the right, far right, my vertical dots, I'm going to click on my 3 dots. I'm going to go down to settings. And I'm going to go to my left navigation pane over here to search engine. And if I wanted to change it from Google search engine used, I could change it to a different search engine. And we're going to talk more about that. But I thought, why not, when I'm in this, let me show you this right now. So again, that's how you could change your search engine. Again, the 3 dots, settings, search engine, and you would change it there. I don't know if you're using Edge, every browser will have that feature. You'll have to find out on each one. Okay. Okay. So let's do another exercise. Browser or not browser? Which of the following is a web browser? Web browser. Gmail. Is Gmail a web browser? No.
Nope.
Nope.
Gmail. Is Chrome a web browser?
Yes.
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 Is Edge a web browser?
Yes.
Yep.
Safari.
Yes.
Who when I say Chrome, right, or Edge or Safari, what company would own that, let's say? So if it's Edge, who has Edge?
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Who has Safari?
Is that Apple?
That's Apple. All right. So is Google a browser? No,
I don't think, I don't
Right.
think so.
because Chrome is the browser. Google, actually, we use Google as a verb now. Google is the company, but Google is a search engine. So we're going to talk more about that. And Firefox. Has anybody heard of Firefox before? And who owns that? Mozilla.
Oh, that's
I always think of Godzilla, like it's Mozilla Firefox. But Firefox, that little fire, the fox that's on fire and little, their logo, their branding. Okay, so great exercise. Now we're getting more familiar with what's a browser, and now we're going to move into search engines. Those are any questions about browsers before we move into search engines? Okay. Oh, and Opera. Opera is another browser, but I don't really know many people that use this, but some social media users prefer this browser. That's what we've been told. So, but Opera is another, owned by Opera. Okay. So, what do you use? What do you use to search the internet? Where do you start? Okay. Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo. And I'm sure you've never heard of DuckDuckGo. But so
I always use Google.
I'm a Google too.
Use
And then when
Yahoo
I-
sometimes.
Yeah.
I do.
Mm.
Mhm.
And Susan, what do you use?
Probably Google and Yahoo too.
Okay. Okay. So while the browser allows you to view web pages that you enter in an address bar, if you don't know the URL, you need a way to search for the site. So a search engine is a program you use in your browser. You will enter keywords, and the search engine uses information you enter to display possible results. You can go to a search engine page in your browser, or you can enter the keywords in the address bar, which is what we just did. We did the address bar. But if you're searching using an address bar, your browser will still use a search engine to bring up the results. In a little bit, we're going to learn what happens when you conduct an online search using a common search engine. We're going to look at the ways a search algorithm can influence the results. But first, let's see what search engines we know. So we talked about Google, Bing, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo. Does anybody know any other search engines? I don't know. That's the ones that the main ones that,
Does Firefox have one?
I
Like, is one specific to it? I'm gonna go
Just
look.
thinking
know
the
what-
same thing. I was just thinking that they
I'm
must.
gonna check.
yeah, if they have their own default one, huh?
Mine, at least the way my Firefox is set up, when I searched, it opened a Google search.
It did. Okay. Well, Google definitely, I mean, we can tell that many of us are Google searchers with over at this 86% of the search market share. So one hardly needs to introduce any of you to Google. Google is the leader of the search world. So DuckDuckGo, like Google, it offers their own mobile and desktop browsers. DuckDuckGo. So what are some things that you think you would search for when you're searching and refining those searches? So let's say there are something specific. Are there specific sites that are better for specific topics? Let's say I was looking for a job, right? Where would I go to look for work? Indeed, right? So if I were looking for maybe some specific recipes for food, I might go to the Food Network for a recipe. Or health, I might go to Health MD for medical questions. Or I might go, obviously, Amazon for shopping. So we have a couple handouts that will give you further information. I don't know, Susan, if you have them in front of you, but we'll make sure we put them in Canva, a canvas for you. And I'm just going to take a look and show you what some of the handouts are. So Google Chrome, quick reference. Okay. So here's the quick reference guide, and it kind of gives you some good information about, searching and browsing and, bookmarking. Things we're going to be talking about, further items today, or that we're going to go over. We'll give you quick shortcuts on here to get to that information too. Okay. So you have that quick reference guide for Google Chrome searching. Okay. And then another common search techniques. We're not going to be getting into all of this today, but there's another handout that searching social media. If you put the @ sign at Twitter, if you put a hashtag, okay, what would, for searching for hashtags, putting in front of a word you want to leave out. So maybe you don't want Jaguar speed when you're looking for a car. So these are all just really, really helpful for searching for very specific information. And again, those are the handouts that you will have.
I'm going to
Right.
put them into chat in a moment.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So let's talk about searching, and we're going to do an exercise for searching. So I have on the slide up here, read the question, the text, that's the question. You want to reread an introductory accounting textbook from school. And what do you think the answer is? So I'll give you a moment to read that. So remember, after you choose the type of results you want, you can narrow your results further with tools. These tools can locate color, size, a date a page was published. So what do you think the answer is here? If I'm looking for, go ahead.
It's yellow. So I think D.
Yes, for a yellow book.
Cool.
So you want to, you index the introductory accounting textbook in the address bar. And now you're going to remember that, the book is yellow. And again,
And those
these
are always on the screen. That's just so cool.
You all also need A.
That's what you have to do first.
Yeah.
But where would you click to filter the results in order to locate that book?
Gotcha.
Going
Gotcha.
into yellow book.
Yep.
To filter is the key word here. It's now we're filtering and looking at the different tools. So what I want to do is I want everybody to go to their browser. I want you to look up books with children. So books with children, and try to find only the yellow books with children. So I bet we all got here, all right? And so this is kind of a trick sorting now and filtering, because when I go to my tools, I'm not getting any options here for color, right?
Yeah.
I'm not getting color. So maybe I want to go over and look at images of books, because I can't remember. I kind of remember I was at my friend's house. I saw that book. It was yellow, and I can't remember really what it looked. I remember kind of what it looked like. So I went to images. Now I go to tools and I look for color yellow. And now I see all these yellow books. So sometimes you might need to narrow down or filter information, because maybe you saw a painting and you were at someone's house or you were at a museum and you cannot remember the name of that painting, but the painting had a dog in it, it had a pool, or it had trees. And these are ways to narrow down your searches by filtering out information. So don't forget about the options at the top to filter and tools. But when you click on all, this is where your landing page is. So you might need to go into further information here or further options. And that tools is different than images tools when you bring up tools here. Okay.
Cool.
Any questions about that? Okay. So let's talk about websites and web advertisements. Great job, everybody, learning about browsers, search engines, and how to search the internet. So let's take a more in-depth look at the websites in general. Most professional websites have standard sections such as a home page and a navigation bar. You'll also be able to expect to find each of these pages on most websites. The About Us, it gives information about the company that owns the site, which often includes contact information, links to social media pages, employment opportunities, and information about the company philosophy and its directors. Private policy. Any site that collects personal information should provide a description of how they use your personal information. Very important policy. Login page. Sites that allow access to secure areas usually provide a page for signing into your account. And online store. Sites that allow you to purchase over the internet, they host online stores. So these are typical pages that you would find on most sites. Okay. So I'm going to review some of these parts with you now. If you would like to follow along, please go and search for Amazon, and you can follow along by looking at your page while I'm showing on here, the navigation of it. So the site home page is the starting point for any website you visit. For websites that are primarily text, you will probably find a lot of links on the home page that brings you to other web pages. Keep in mind that this is not the same as the home page when you open a browser. The navigation bar, we just talked about the navigation bar when we were on Amazon. Primary means of navigation for a website, basically. It's similar to a table of contents for the site. It shows you what is on the site and provides a way to get there. The navigation bar or menu, a lot of people, we call it menus, is an organized way of linking other web pages. They can be hidden or easy to access, allowing visitors to navigate to the pages that are most useful or interesting to them. So it's a shortcut bar, really, it's a shortcut. So let's all pick something on the navigation bar and go ahead and click on, different sections where I know Kristen's already shopping. So go ahead and you can see I highlighted the navigation bar in green on our slide. So go ahead and just take some time. I'll give you a minute to just click on different sites, different web pages. And if you have any questions, just speak up. We have a small group today.
So Colleen, I just want to be sure you said that Amazon itself is the website, and then all the things we're clicking are the links to other pages?
Other web
correct?
pages.
Other
Yes.
web pages. Okay.
Other web pages on their website.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And there could be web advertisements that sometimes you click on a website that takes you to a web advertisement, which is different. So our focus right now is just that navigation bar within Amazon's. Great question.
Thank you.
Gonna get me
I was
tongue-tied.
getting confused.
Web pages, web advertisements, websites. So since Kristen brought that up, let's talk about that. Woo! Beware of web advertisements. So web advertisements, what is web advertising? It's digital advertising helps persuade a targeted customer to take specific actions like purchasing. Unlike traditional ad strategies, advertising products online enables you to target, or meaning a business, to target a specific demographic, gender, generation, geographic region. Web advertising is any form of internet-based marketing. This means that web advertising can include email campaigns, social media activity, websites, blogs, search results. So you can get web advertising everywhere, and I am sure that all of us have experienced this. So sometimes you cannot even tell what you're looking at. Is it a web advertisement? Is it a website? What is it? So can anyone share examples of where you might have seen ads from the internet or on the internet? Or
Well,
any
how about what happens a lot is you do a search, right? Let's say you're looking for a dress from a certain Ann Taylor, right?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden on your email, you start getting all kinds of emails from Ann Taylor talking about sales and whatever, right? And so those are advertisements. I didn't ask for them to email me, but they saw me looking, so they keep coming at me.
Right. And why do you think, and how do you think they did that?
That's your internet for you.
Every time you're clicking, you're creating a breadcrumb, like of history, and all that information is going somewhere. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to share, then don't get online, basically. Kristen.
And an example, or a little bit more detailed explanation, it might be a little too much, but when you click on a website for the first time, you often see a message about cookies. Cookies are a way for the website to remember who you are. And like if you've gone into Ann Taylor and put 3 dresses in your shopping cart, when you go back in, those 3 dresses are still in your shopping cart because you accepted the cookies, so that Ann Taylor now says, oh, so-and-so said it's okay for me to have their information. And then that's when they start marketing to you as well. So it's one of those things where you might want to, and most websites require you to accept cookies, but some of them
Just
have
going to ask you, do you
certain
have to?
levels.
Do you have to accept the cookies?
For most websites, the answer is yes. However, some of them, and we'll talk about this more in the internet safety one as well, but some of the cookies allow the website to simply remember your email address or your username and password or your language preference. But some of them are third-party cookies, which means that you are saying, yes, any third party that I'm accessing through your site, you can then share that cookie with them. That's not the best explanation, but so if you ever see a website and it's asking you about cookies, sometimes it says accept all. Sometimes you have an option. Look at the option and see what ones you really want. Some websites simply will come up and say, by using our site, you are accepting our cookies. And then, so that's especially where Colleen's right. Like, just don't, if you don't want it to happen, don't go there.
And I've, just to add to that, I've tried to purchase something and I didn't purchase it because the cookies thing came up and I was like, oh, this is going to be just a nightmare. I'm going to start getting flooded with stuff on my phone and my email. And I was like, it's not that important. So I went back to Amazon and looked for the purchase. So,
however, I sometimes put things in a shopping cart online and then wait to see if they'll email me a coupon.
oh,
Some sites do that.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
Etsy is really good for that.
What a
Etsy,
great
yeah.
tip that is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, if you search for something and then wait. I did rental car searching one time. Like I was on there doing Avis or rental or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, well, okay, I'll get that car. I was like, you know what? And then the trip wasn't coming up for like months. And then all of a sudden I'm getting an email from Avis saying, oh, do you want, discount on so-and-so cars? And I'm like, oh, they knew I was looking for car.
Yep.
So
1-800-Flowers does that a lot too. They'll send you
Oh.
15% off. They saw that you were looking for flowers to send.
hmm,
Mhm.
15% is worth it on flowers, right?
Especially from 1-800-Flowers.
Takes
Yeah.
care of the shipping, right?
Yeah,
So no,
exactly.
that's really good.
Yeah. Okay, great. So thanks for sharing, everybody. So let's talk about how we know what an ad is. So doing this activity together, I just searched for fitness coach. And go ahead if you want to do this on your you can search in your browser or do your search engine, but let's bring up fitness coach. And how can we determine which of these are ads? Can anyone notice what lets us know that it's an ad? And when I say an ad, it's put there by the business. They paid Google some money and said, I want to appear at the top. I want to be one of the first things that come up. Sponsored. Now, excellent. So what it used to be in the past, it used to say in green, AD, ad, and you could tell right away the green, but now it's sponsored. So those are the sites, and it's not something you need to, be alerted with. You just need to know, because it's not that you're not going to get a virus or drop it in malware, but it's just letting you know that that's an ad. And when you click on that, usually what happens is that business gets charged by Google because you clicked on their ad to go to their site. And Kristen may be able to expand a bit on this too. So I'll open it up for her.
I was going to talk about it in a totally separate way.
Good.
Sometimes when I'm searching maybe for health information or better ways to fall asleep, and I would see sponsored, and then it would be, I forget the name of the bedding company, but instead of getting actual advice or a list of different things I could do, I was getting at the top of my search list all these places that sold me things about sleep, whether it was a mattress or a type of pillow. And so I always look at it as, I don't want a company to give me advice. I want to research and then I can go to a company. The same with, I do a lot of searching on the best mattress. And again, don't want to look at the mattress companies, but eventually I'll come up with like Consumer Reports lower down. And since that one's not an advertisement or that one's not sponsored, I can then use their information. So I try to keep away from the ads unless I really am shopping.
Susan, do you have anything you want to add to that at all about, ads, or any questions about?
No, I'm good. But everything that everyone said, whether you wait for the discount, and all that stuff, or you put things in your cart and just wait, like little things like that. But nothing more about the ads, except for
We have good shopping tips.
yeah. Maybe all the ones that you see on social media, that are hidden all the time. So
Yeah. Okay, so what else should you know? We're just going to go over a few more important things that you should know about searching the web. So browsers, functions and features. Browsers allow you to keep a list of favorites or frequently used websites. So bookmarking of your favorites allows your web browser to save the URL of a site that you want to remember, and you're going to access it frequently. So this slide, it shows you how to add favorites and bookmarks. In addition to saving the websites, you can use the tools to create the new bookmark and folders and move and delete bookmarks, okay? Most of them work like the panes in File Explorer. If you're used to a File Explorer, it works very similar. You can drag and drop bookmarks, you can right click, you got shortcut menus, wizards walk you through. So do you bookmark, Susan, your when you do browsing on your internet?
Yes, all the time. Yeah.
Okay. So we're just going to go through a quick exercise for everybody, just to, let me show you how I bookmark first, and then I'm going to, give you time so you can bookmark 3 websites. Okay. So first I'm going to look up my Amazon, because I'm going to use my Amazon as my search. I'm going to go to Amazon. Okay. I find Amazon. I want to save it as a bookmark. I go up over to my little star, and my star is not blue. It's just plain. And I click there, and I can change some of the wording if I wanted to just say Amazon, and then it's going to save it to my bookmark bar, and I click done. Now, when I have Amazon, it changes the color to blue, so I know it's a favorite. It's been added. And when I look at all my bookmarks, I can, well, it's quite long, but I can see that it's been added at the bottom of my bookmarks. So again, it's shortcuts to get to easy access to the bookmarks. Also, when I open up a new tab, if I want to go right to Amazon, this is my bookmark bar. And if I want to go, I have the double arrow over here, hidden bookmarks, and I just go to Amazon there. So you can see that I use bookmarks a lot. And I think it's a great way to organize and get to your sites very quickly. And again, multiple ways to do things. I'm showing you the way that I, do it with that star.
Can I make a quick suggestion?
Yeah.
And that is that you put your bookmarks in folders, and that you make sure your bookmark bar is always on. So if I were to, I'm going to steal the screen, Colleen, I'm sorry.
Okay. No,
Just so that you can see how I've got mine set up.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to stop sharing, because
Oops, I'm sorry.
I'm a participant today.
There you go.
Okay. My bookmark bar, it does have a few things I don't want to forget about at the beginning. It's got my email, my Google Calendar. I have a folder called Other that I throw all the things I don't want people to see when I'm sharing my screen. My banking, school stuff, which I can get rid of because none of my kids are in these schools anymore. All my different file storage online. So when I, if I were to go to Target and I haven't bookmarked Target yet, when I click on bookmark and it shows me the bookmark, it also asks me what folder I want to put it in. If I click more, I can then create new folders within folders within folders, and then I've got them organized. And this is only for me, because if I had hidden bookmarks, I would forget about them, and that list is too much. It overwhelms me. So I try really hard to keep things very, very organized, because that's what works best for me. So I just wanted to point out that that is a good way to manage your bookmarks a little better. The other thing I want to point out for anybody who happens to be teaching this class, even though I said we would talk about that later, sometimes you get on a computer and you don't have your bookmarks bar turned on. And this sometimes happens, especially when I was teaching remotely. My students would be like, but I don't see it, but I don't see it. Easiest thing is to go to your 3 dots, go to bookmarks, and then show bookmarks bar. So I just wanted to call both of those ideas out for you. Thanks,
Great.
Colleen.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you showed folders.
I love folders. I'm such a nerd.
I know I should probably have folders. And for some of
You do
mine.
what works.
You seem to have a lot more that, oh, you got my screen now, right? Google?
This is you. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I have so much stuff. And
I
these
think
have
you
been
have
my
more, yeah.
bookmarks for years. Like, no lie.
Yeah.
I have been using a Google account for a gazillion years, and I sync it everywhere I go. That's not really true, but I sync it to my phone, my work computer, my laptop. So that's why I have so much stuff on it.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a great way to organize it. And that's where it comes back to File Explorer. Like you have all your folders that Kristen just showed us. That's just like your File Explorer, having all your folders on your computer. Okay, so any other questions about the bookmarks and deleting them? Like I didn't go over deleting them, but you just right click and delete a bookmark in your list or yeah, okay. So deleting the history. So the browser itself, once you start searching and searching and searching, you're creating a history every time you go on and do your searches and your websites and you're looking up information. So can someone tell me, why would you delete browser history? What's one of the best reasons, or what is a reason to delete your browsing history?
I have one. It's related to shopping. I know you're surprised, but for a while, my wife's computer wasn't working and we were both using my laptop. And if I was shopping for something for her for Mother's Day, and I didn't want her to be able to see that, I would just delete the whole history so that she wouldn't know what I was looking for. So that's one of the reasons I might do it.
And Susan, why do you think you might delete browser history?
No, I would always delete it just for security measures. I mean, but I don't know. I just would always just clear it up. Just, I don't know
So
why.
I have an example. I went with my husband to the Apple store, and since I was totally bored while he was out there doing all these things, I just kind of went on, and stupid me, I went on Facebook, which this was years ago too. I know. So I'm over there on the computer just looking at Facebook stuff because I had nothing else to do. Well, what did I forget to do? I forgot to delete on that computer in Apple Store that Facebook when I logged in and I left. And I didn't go on Facebook for like a week or two. And all of a sudden I went on, I went, who sent those nasty remarks? Like something weird. Someone hacked my account on Facebook because I had logged in on that Apple Store. So deleting wherever you are, especially, I think the obvious reasons are, to regularly try to delete history to protect your privacy, or, to have that, especially if you're on a public computer somewhere, if you go into a library or something and you're using their computers, just make sure you delete. Or you go into an Apple store and you play around on their computer. That history that you're doing or your passwords that you're putting in could be saving. So you want to, and then you don't want any of that there. So protect yourself.
Could it also save space on the computer by deleting? I often wondered.
Not
Not really.
Don't know if it would necessarily save space, because when you save your history too, in the cache, the cache, which we'll talk a little bit about, but that saves temporary files that you can get to without putting your passwords in again and such. So deleting all of that, especially if you're in a public area, is really important.
Oh, for sure.
Saving space. I don't know. Kristen, what do you think?
Hang on, I had to unmute. So of course, I was looking it up.
Yeah.
And when I look something up, I try to read 2 or 3 different sites. So I'm not just trusting like the very first one, or I go somewhere I know. The amount of data in history is typically very small, but yes, you will free up some space. It looks like, depending on how long you've had your history, it could be a megabyte of space.
Hmm.
which these days is not that
That's much.
big.
Yeah.
Also, I think that's it. Is it necessary? This website says failing to do so makes it much easier for hackers to collect enough of your personal information to scam and deceive you.
Mm.
So I think, and you have to think of this way, like I would always clear my history, as Colleen pointed out, on a computer that is accessed by anybody else. So at the Apple Store, the library computers, if I'm using a public computer there, I'm going to clear out my history. In terms of your history on your personal computer or even your work computer, somebody still could get to that history. If they have hacked your computer, again, we'll talk more about how things like that could happen in the internet security one. But if you get a virus or something like that, whoever's behind it can get into your search history. They can get into, in addition to your files, in addition to breadcrumbs and cookies and all of that. So there are a couple of really important reasons that you should delete your history.
Yeah, so thank you for that input. Thank you for all that information too.
Of course.
So let's just take a quick look at how we do that in Chrome. Okay, so I'm just going to continue and go over the browsing history. And so I'm going back to my 3 dots, going over more tools, clear browsing data. And then I would pick and choose from my screen what I want to clear and my time frame, where I could do all of it, or I could go back only a week, 7 days, whatever it might be. So again, multiple ways to get to that, but you can see that I'm over on the left navigation area, privacy and security. That's kind of where I ended up when I went there. Okay. So moving on. We're just going to do some review questions and then we're going to wrap it up. So let's start with the first question. Kristen, would you like to read this question? Oops, you're on mute.
Hold, please. How to delete your browsing history in Google Chrome. Other browsers such as Safari and Edge have a similar process for deleting browsing history. 1, click the 3 dots at the upper right-hand corner of the browser window. 2, hover over more tools and then click Clear Browsing Data. 3, choose All Time from the drop-down menu. 4, make sure the browsing history box is checked. And then 5 is Clear Data.
Okay, sorry. So that wasn't a real question, but it was the steps of what I just did. So again, that's what the steps I did to clear the browser history. And again, whatever browser you're on, if it's Edge, it could be different process. But again, we talked a little bit about the cache. So what does it mean to clear the cache? Sites and cookies. Sites you use cookies to improve your browser experience. So it's, for example, to keep you signed in or to remember items in your shopping cart. So when you use a browser like Chrome, it saves some information from the websites in its cache and cookies. So clearing them fixes certain problems like loading or formatting issues on sites. If your computer is really slow and you might be having problems bringing up that browser or that website, you might be having an issue. You might want to clear the browser history, the cache, and then it frees up the computer a bit. I know I've had that happen to me. And if you go and clear, sometimes you have to reboot your computer too, but clearing the cache, clearing the history can help fix certain problems also. Okay. So again, cookies improve your browser experience for shopping and going back to sites and filling in information. But again, clearing that and clearing the cache, the cache deletes temporary stored files and can free some space for you. So once you start browsing again, the temporary files start all over again and it builds up again. Okay, so review questions. Kristen, would you like to read this question?
Yes. Why should you compare different sites when researching information? A, to enable you to place the copyright symbol at the bottom of your report. B, comparing facts presented on different sites helps you determine their accuracy and validity. C, you need to show at least 5 resource locations in the bibliography. Or D, to check that each site was created in the same location.
So what do we think the answer to this might be?
I think it's B.
I
I
think it's B also.
Exactly. Comparing the facts presented on different sites helps you determine their accuracy and validity. Websites owned and maintained by well-known organizations usually present accurate information as their reputation is at stake. However, it's important to be alert to bias via omission of opposing views. Websites of lesser known organizations or individuals can sometimes present novel ideas. Great. So next question. Sarah, do you want to read this question?
Sure. What is one of the fastest ways to search for an item on a specific website? A, use a search engine such as google.com or bing.com. B, use the web browser search field. C, use the search field on that specific website. Or D, use the search field from the start menu.
So I feel like this is kind of like a trick question.
Yep, I do too.
I've
Yeah.
got it. I think I've got it.
What do
I
you
think
think?
it's C.
Yes. So if you're already on your website, excellent. If you're already on the website, just search from the website. There's always just search area there to get you deeper into the web pages and the information you're looking for. Many sites include that search field somewhere along the top or the left side, somewhere on that web page. So using that field to get to that specific information is much easier. And searching on that web page searches only the website to which the page belongs. That's different from searching the entire internet for the information on a specific topic. Okay.
So like if you think of Amazon, when you use the search in Amazon, it's only searching that site, which is what made me decide C was the answer, because, you know.
Excellent. Okay. Whoops. Do I have the final question? So what does a search engine maintain? A database of internet URLs. B, a database with all web pages in your country. C, database with all web pages on the internet. And D, database of all music files on the internet. So I would say A, that's a database of all of the internet URLs. The search engine maintains a database of internet URLs. Each record in the database includes the URL, a short description, a title, keywords, and other site information. Great job, everyone, with the questions. So next steps. If you're watching this recording, we want to make sure that you let us know. So definitely send it, in the comments box on the recording. There's an area to put your name, your library, and the date. Please do that if you are watching this recording. And reminder, the Internet Safety Workshop in a Box is on August 16th. That's a wrap.
Woohoo.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great session, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.